Welcome everyone to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Tara, and we are going to talk about Babylon 5, Season 1, Episode 5. It's called The Parliament of Dreams. So full spoilers for the episode, as always. This episode is a Jakar focused episode, but we do luckily get a lot of other characters as well, because the thing that's going on Babylon 5, the station, is that EarthGov has decided that they're going to all exchange their sort of dominant religions and faiths. So there's like little ceremonies where the Centauri get to show off theirs, then the Minbari, then the episode ends with the humans, and we'll talk about those. Plus there's an assassination plot with Jakar. Yeah.
Because nothing says unity like people talking about their different religions.
Hey, I felt more unified than I ever have watching Londo be very enthusiastic, which this is the thing. Their celebration, right, which is the first one we see, like, there's nothing about it that feels remotely religious. It's basically just a big feast with lots of booze. Party. Yeah, as they talk about how, and I guess we'll start with this. We'll talk about some of the mythology stuff that's dumped from some of these. The Londo stuff is really interesting. I thought is that there used to be two races or species on their planet, and this ritual comes from when they'd be fighting like for generations, where every year they would celebrate how many they've killed, basically, and then and obviously, I think it's Garibaldi or Sinclair sort of pipe up and say, well, what happened to these Zorns? I think they called them. Where are they now? And he's like, they're all dead. We wiped out every last one of them. And good riddance. And I'm like, that's kind of dark, but it's kind of funny coming out of Londo's mouth. I'm not gonna lie. So my favorite part is pretty
funny in this.
Yeah, my favorite part of all this might be that Ivanova is really into all this. Like, she was smiling and laughing like that. This is an Ivanova I've not seen before.
Well, I mean, we know that she's Russian and they love their vodka, so maybe she was just really getting into that side of it. I mean, Londo is clearly like gone from drinking so much.
Oh yes, the end of the scene, of course, is that he starts crawling up on the table and the counter and kissing the statues, and he tells Delenn that she's very cute for a Minbari. And then says to Garibaldi, "You're cute too," in an annoying sort of way. Everyone, I'm cute, and in purple, I'm glorious, and then he passes out.
Yeah.
It was at this point in the episode that I text her, said, "I love Londo."
Yeah, Londo's pretty great. I really liked Jakar in this. I thought he was really funny.
Oh yes, he's delightful throughout the episode. Obviously, he gets tons of time because the main plot's about him.
Yeah, but his like anxiety throughout is just, and how he deals with it by just getting angrier. But it's hilarious when he does it.
Yeah. We'll come back to him though. Let's stick with the non-Jakar assassination plot just to keep things in a semblance of order. So the Minbari thing was, as you would expect, a lot more spiritual. We had drums and music and a speech of sorts, and they were all given these little red fruit. Alien fruit, I think.
I thought the speech was very romantic when she was saying it. Like,
well,
is she talking about a god or is she talking about a mate?
Yeah, there was obviously a reveal later on that Sinclair just kind of like laughs off. And I admittedly, I don't think it's a serious thing either, in the sense that
no,
because Catherine, who we'll get to who that is in a minute, she even said that depending on how seriously someone took it, if there was a serious exchange of looks, someone might have got married. And Delenn was looking at Sinclair very intently and making sure he ate it. But no, they're all given this little red fruit, and they're kind of.
She seemed very relieved when he did eat the fruit.
Yeah, and then she ate hers. It was like, oh yes, now I can relax, and now we can get on with things.
Maybe it's just a symbolic marriage, not a real marriage.
Yes. And the ending, of course, which is like, okay, what's the human one going to be? And I remember watching this episode for the first time and thinking, yeah, what do you do? Because Earth's kind of got a lot of religions, and that's actually kind of the point. And I actually kind of love this because I love.
I know why. Go on.
Okay. Well, what I love about it is that one of my complaints about a lot of science fiction, not just in terms of religions, but like if you think of Star Wars, you think of other things, there tends to be this problem where they'll go to a planet and it's the snow planet, and it's really silly because Earth has snowy regions, it has tropical regions, it has middle. I mean, I live in the most middle. It's kind of sunny in the summer, it's kind of rainy in the winter.
You live in a bog.
Yeah, and, like we have, all this variance, right, in climates,
Yeah.
and same with religion, right? But we have this problem in science fiction where, and partly because it would take so long to establish all these different cultures in every planet and all these different climates in every planet that they just tend to focus in on one. And I get why it's a crutch and why they do it, but most things are guilty of it. I kind of love the idea of turning that into a device here, where they say that no, Earth is unique because we have so many religions and so many cultures. And that's what the end of the episode does. It's that Sinclair just takes them into a room and there's just a big line of people, and the first guy's, this is Dave, he's an atheist.
Yeah, I love that.
That was the first one.
I love how the first thing he introduces him is like, also, we have people who don't believe in God.
But then
We're going to start right there and then work our way down.
There's a priest, a rabbi, and this is not a joke, but then, and then the camera, and I do love that the camera just keeps going, because even though I am an atheist and I don't believe in anything, and, the idea of these beliefs, for the most part, if you ask me deep down what I think that's pretty silly. But I actually did feel kind of like a nice sentiment as it was going down this big row of people, because
it's basically the coexist bumper sticker that you see all over the place.
Yeah, I guess. But it was a nice sentiment. It was like saying, hey, part of our strength is that we're also different, and this is everyone. It was kind of sweet, I thought.
Do you think that EarthGov wanted them to do a religious celebration of culture on the ship because they were hoping it would cause some kind of conflict?
That's a very astute point. Because everything we've heard about EarthGov is that they're going very right-wing, from the sounds of it.
Yeah.
I would say it was a rousing failure if that was the intent, though, because it seemed to go off
right,
without
because
a hitch.
Sinclair had a thing. Yeah, and you're right, that's all the celebrations were just like, it seems kind of nice or fun or something you just kind of have to sit through and tolerate, but
Yeah.
it doesn't it didn't actually spark anything. But with the history of Earth and all of our many religions, and we don't exactly have a clean history of being able to share a planet with multiple religions on it.
No. And in many ways, that's a lot what this show is about, when you think about it. About all the different alien species and races, they're all kind of representing our different cultures, different, well, it'd be religions or politic classes or whatever. Like, it's all these
Yeah,
things.
I mean, that's just sci-fi.
Oh, it is,
do
but
that.
yeah. But, I mean, this specifically kind of relates to it also.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the ending. It's good.
Yeah, it's sweet.
So,
And I like that they start off with atheists. Not because
Yes, I do.
I'm an atheist, but it's just like, also, by the way, there are people who just don't have religion on Earth, and that's cool. Like, that's the baseline.
yeah.
We're going to start there.
Yeah, I always thought maybe it was going to be alphabetical, but that quickly went out the window. I wonder if the atheist is first, because maybe that's what Sinclair is. Maybe Sinclair's. I'm putting my team up front.
No, I think it's done on purpose to be like, well, either the director or writer was just like, well, I'm an atheist, so I'm going to do that one first, or it's just like, this is also accepted, because normally you wouldn't hear atheists in the line at all. It would start off with like, we have a Christian, we have a Jewish guy, we got a Catholic or Protestant and Muslim or Buddhist and stuff like that, the main ones. But unless Scientology was there, they would probably force themselves to be the first.
That's the joke skit version of this scene. Is you get to the end of the row and there's just like a robotic version of Tom Cruise. It's just at the end of the row. Or either that, or you have like maybe like Jakar say, I thought I read something, Commander, about Scientology, and have Sinclair just go, nah, that one doesn't count. Just walks out.
Once their leader flew into space to film a movie. He never returned, and the religion died.
Yes, mysteriously there was like a flash of light, and Tom Cruise ascended into a higher being, and yes, there was no more. So that was that. And before we got into the main plot, I should mention a couple of our subplots. Well, one's not even a subplot; it's just like one scene. But you have what's his face, Linear, or what's his name? He arrives at the station. Billy Mumi arrives
Finally.
and it's honestly this one. This is not so much a critique. I think it's fine to have it here, but it's because it is just on its own. It does kind of feel like they just didn't know what episode to put this scene in, so they just sort of said, "Oh, we've got a 2-minute spot here. Put it in there."
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel like it's that vital to it. All on the fact that he's in the celebration scene when they're doing the Minbari stuff, but. Other than that, it doesn't really feel like it needed to. It could have been in last episode. It didn't really matter.
He basically just shows up and gives her full title, and she says, "Don't call me that here."
Yeah, don't call me Satai Delenn. Don't mention the Grey Council. And he's like, I don't understand, but I'll respect your wishes. And it shows that she is a little bit kind of, but not a renegade, but she's a little, because he doesn't look her in the eyes. Like the rule says that he's not supposed to look her directly in the face. And she's like, oh, don't be silly. Like, look at me. Let's do this. So it shows that she does go a little bit outside the norm for the Minbari. So it gives her a little bit of character stuff. It introduces to him, which is good. The other subplot, of course, is Sinclair and Catherine, which I am going to critique. I think it's the weakest part of the episode in a lot of ways. Mainly because I think the dialogue is a bit overwritten and cheesy and trying really hard. I don't know how you feel about that.
I mean, yeah, it's not my favorite, and it hasn't been that long since we watched The Gathering and we saw Sinclair with another woman who they bring up.
They do. I'd forgotten this. I forgot they addressed that there was a different woman in The Gathering.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it just seemed like a repeat.
And maybe that's just because they changed their minds about who they wanted, so they had to just reintroduce this new character and sort of suck it up. I don't know
why he really needs a love interest, but all right.
I remember from her appearances later, from what I saw last time, that I do like her as a character well enough, and I do think her job is interesting because
Does she stick around for a while?
Yeah, she comes back, and they set that up at the end of the episode that she's going to be coming and going from the station. But she like charts or maps like worlds for people, or excavates like sites on worlds. We get a small glimpse of what her job is, and so we get the idea that she's going to be leaving from for a week at a time to go and do stuff, but she'll keep coming back. So it sets her up as a recurring character. The actual dialogue though is like they do this thing where I get what they're going for, where they have them kind of like almost like meta-analyze what the relationship is, and they talk about how, well, we always meet up every couple of years, and I'll ask this about your brother, you'll ask this about my aunt, and then we'll end up in bed, and then we'll regret it, and then blah blah blah, and they kind of joke about it a little bit. And it's like, okay, this is cute, I get what you're trying to do, but it's a little bit overwritten.
I didn't mind it too much. It's probably my least, favorite part of the episode, just because I found it to be not as interesting as the other parts.
Sure.
But I was really into the main plot, and it was fun to see the different cultures from the aliens. And this part was just kind of like, I don't know, it was fine. I didn't mind the dialogue. I thought it was kind of cute. They seem cute together. We'll see what happens.
I thought the chemistry was fine. Like I didn't think there was anything wrong with that. I wonder if it was just like they were trying to do something interesting with like their past, this on-off again thing that they've got. Because they wanted to introduce someone who wasn't just like, hey, love interest of the week. They want someone who's going to come back, but and having to try and do it again after the Gathering, it just kind of felt like, hey, Broad arrives on ship, Sinclair and Broad hook up and
have history hook up.
So maybe a little bit repetitive in that sense. But that's all.
I don't really remember her character from when I watched this the first time, so I don't remember. I didn't remember that she came back, so I don't know how this will play out, but we'll see.
But let's talk about the main plot. That's what we want to talk about. We want to talk about the main murder, well, not murder mystery, the assassination attempt. I mean, even the start of this delighted me, because it just cuts to Jacquard in his like quarters, and he's singing as he's cooking. He's like, "Ooh, Jacquard's making his dinner." I don't know what he was singing, but he was just singing to himself.
Like a love song.
It was just delightful. And he sits down and he's ready to like feast into some, it's like an alien animal that he's cooked, and he's sitting down to eat it, and he gets interrupted by some courier who comes in and is like, Ambassador.
Are you Ambassador Shakar?
Like,
this is Shakar's quarters. This is Shakar's desk or table. This is Shakar's dinner. He's like so irritated.
Yeah. And he's like, okay, so I was, told to bring you this data chip with the message on it, and he's like, fine, go, I will listen to it later. And then he's about to bite into his dinner after. He's like, oh, fine, I'll listen to it now. He's like, he can't let himself get away with it, so he puts it on. And what I really like about this, actually, just in terms of the setup, is that I like that we're setting up the idea that Jakar does actually have enemies who are also Narn. Like, I love the idea that he has Narn nemesis and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's definitely got a rival.
Because I think, again, one of this, going back to the previous thing about how every alien planet has like one race and they have one climate and so on. The idea that all of the alien races on this show potentially could all just like, no, all Centauri like each other, all Narn like each other, all Minbari like each other. I like that they're establishing, no. These people, these different species have their own like enemies on their own culture and stuff like that. So I love that world building aspect to it. So, but yeah, he's dying, and Jakar's like, oh, about time, and yada. It's like, but
his responses were kind of cute to me. I don't know.
Oh, he's great.
And if you're watching this video, I'm probably already dead, and let's drink to that.
Yeah.
Something like that. It was really funny.
But then, of course, he's like, but soon you will be too. He's like, huh? It's like, I've hired an assassin, and within 48 hours of getting this message, you will be dead. So you'll have to fear it, but not for too long. And it's like, God, yes, someone has been hired and they're closer than you think. And then almost like immediately, Natoth is introduced and comes in. And maybe a discredit to the episode is that she's been actually like credited as like a regular cast member for like several episodes before she appeared. And I think that may... Yeah, and I think that maybe like, if you noticed that, you probably know that she's going to stick around, and therefore she's probably not the assassin. But clearly, the episode.
That's interesting because we had a different helper 2 episodes ago.
We did,
the episode with where Londo falls in love, and I read in the trivia that she couldn't stand being under makeup, so they recast, or they didn't recast. They just made a different character. Mm-hmm. But I guess it's early enough in the season where they knew that she was going to only be around for 1 episode and put this lady's name in the credits instead.
Yeah, I'm sure, because I don't remember the actor's name, but I remember it coming up saying as Natoth like the last bunch of episodes. Just like Lenny was coming up in the credits,
right?
No, it didn't pop up till now. So, and she comes in and she's got I like her actually quite a bit. She's got a bit of an attitude. She challenges.
She's awesome.
She challenges Jakar. She'll make fun of him, and it's the perfect like foil for Jakar.
Yeah.
And she's like, look, don't worry. If he really hired someone this serious, it would have been from the Assassin's Guild, and they always leave this black flower, so you know to get your affairs in order. If you received a black flower, he's like, well, no, I've not actually. That's a good point. Good point. And he's all happy. And you know what? The actor spent some extra time in the makeup chair because we get a scene of him with his chest all on show. He's lying in bed, and we get the Narn chest. No dicks though. No dicks in his chest.
No, he's not Centauri.
Yes, but he
likes female women, so maybe he only has one.
He likes female women.
I mean, not female women. Sorry, he likes human women.
Human women, yes.
You know what I mean.
That comes up later. We find that out later.
Yes.
Actually, no, we found that because it was the on the message, but then later on we see evidence of it. We'll get to that. But he rolls over in bed, and he's still got his eyes shut, and we just see him. He just starts sniffling because we see this flower in front of his face, and he opens his eyes and he just starts screaming, and I started laughing. Like,
it's a silly scream.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got that Shakespearean like goofy scream on him, and it's just. Like, I love Londo, and I like Londo just a little bit more, but Londo and Jakar are my 2 favorites. Like, them two...
Oh, Jakar is great in this episode. Yeah. Like, he's definitely a step above Londo, but we only get to see Londo for a little bit. He's not as good as my favorite character, though, which has quickly become the praying mantis.
Oh yeah. Not even just that. The praying mantis in this episode has like an enforcer dude. Like he's got like a sort of big frog face. Like, there was this other alien that was there.
Yeah.
It was like his bouncer.
Right. He looked a little bit like the Goomba from the Goombas from the what's that movie? The Super Mario Brother movie.
Oh, I could see it. Much bigger head though, because this head was like a big head as opposed to a little head. Because if you remember in that movie, the Goomba heads were like tiny.
Or tiny heads, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, he screams and he's like the Toth. Okay, this is your first test. You're going to find me that courier who gave me that message. We're going to find out who's behind us. And he goes to the black market to the praying mantis and he demands a bodyguard. In fact, weird timeline thing here. He says in this scene that it's only 2 hours until the Minbari, ritual thing that he's supposed to go to, right? We cut to a scene of Sinclair and Catherine going to the one restaurant in Babylon 5 for dinner. Yeah. And then it cuts to the ritual and Sinclair's there. And I wait, did they go for dinner in that 2 hours in between those two scenes?
I guess so.
It's one of those weird things where they probably put it in there for pacing's sake without thinking about how it didn't really make much sense. That because they get all dressed up. Catherine's got got a dress on. She's made herself up. He's got his like his more formal uniform on. Like they're making an effort, right? And then he gets married to Delenn, and then the very next.
And then he comes back and he sleeps with Catherine.
Yes. A very dramatic scene though, because she's like, "Don't touch," because she goes to leave and he goes to grab her. She's like, "Don't touch me unless you mean it." And then he puts his. But what I love about that though is he immediately puts his other hand on her. So after the
I mean it.
Yeah, he's like, "No, I mean it. I mean it. It's time." All right.
Go Dad. Good for him. Good for them.
Yes.
I'm happy for them. They
both seem very happy. But yes, so Jakar, of course, is very twitchy throughout the whole thing, the Minbari thing. So he comes back to his quarters, and I love that he just comes in yelling, "Where was that bodyguard? He was supposed to be there, and I was all alone!" And the Toss is like in the bedroom, and he just goes in, and the bodyguard's just dead, and there's a black flower like behind him. And he's like, so he has to call in Garibaldi because there's been a murder. Yeah. Because actually, one of the things I like about this plot actually is that it never actually ends up involving the main characters. It's solved completely by Jakar and the Toth, which I really like, because at the end of the episode when Sinclair's saying goodbye to Catherine, he mentions that, it's been luckily a quiet couple of days so we could spend time together. I'm like, you know what? For you, it has been a quiet couple of days. It has been. That's actually kind of nice. I appreciate it. It's different.
And he sees Jakar just like skipping and laughing. Well, I mean, jumping
at the
ahead,
end,
but like, yeah.
Yes, because at that point he solved his problem.
It's been a good week.
Yeah. Because Garibaldi, of course, is asking all these questions. Doesn't quite add it up. He's like, I mean, I know you were at this thing, because obviously Jakar points out, I was with you at that ceremony. I couldn't have done it. It's like, yeah, but you look very twitchy. There's something you're not telling me.
Something's going on, yeah.
But he finds some panties. He finds some like red panties, in the thing. He's like, these don't look like your style. And I love how like offended Jakar gets. He grabs him. He's like, oh wow, this is an outrage. It's like, by the way, pink's not your colours, ambassador. He's like, get out. Like I love how like uppity and mad he gets. It's delightful.
Garibaldi's very unprofessional.
Oh yes. Joe I love about it though is that up until now, Jakar in every episode has been an antagonist. He's typically the antagonist either to whatever's going on or specifically to Londo, but he's always been like kind of the enemy. I loved it in this episode because he is the main plot. He gets the win. So that gleeful stuff we get him at the end is actually quite a treat, because usually he has to be defeated by the end.
Right. Usually he's like scoffed when walking away with his tail between his legs.
Yeah. But here we get to see what it's like when he wins. So the Toth finds the courier guy and forces him to come back. But the twist, which is not really that surprising, is that the courier himself is the assassin. And I do appreciate though that he points out that he waited at the terminal for ages. Yeah. He's like, do you know how long I had to wait for the Toth to come and get me?
Yeah, that was funny. I also love that he wears glasses, but like they look like regular glasses that go behind the ears, like human glasses, but they don't have ears. So they can't be designed for them.
there's a slight bump. There's like a slight bump where the human being.
Like, where would they go? Why are they designed that way?
It's a valid question. Maybe he had to go to the human shop because he broke his spare pair, so he had to go to the human stall and just get a pair of human glasses.
I mean, the glasses, they're a good look, but the design doesn't make sense to me for that species.
No, you're right. I mean, we kind of glossed over it because we're just talking about all the jokes that happen with Garibaldi, but I do think it's an interesting little tidbit that Jacquard is into Earthwomen.
Oh, definitely.
That's interesting. It's
kind of set up in The Gathering, but
that's true. But given that he's so, he's so Narn first and pro Narn and like against everyone else, it's really interesting to find out that he's secretly a little, little human fetishist. Wonder what it is.
He's into it.
Yeah, and I want to see him like chat up a human. I want to see like what sort of human is like. You know what? I'm into the whole reptile thing. Yeah, let's do it.
Red eyes.
This will be a once in a lifetime experience. Go for it. So he's kidnapped by the assassin, and he ends up with this collar on that electrocutes him if he tries to go near him, so he can't fight back. And the Toth comes in and pretends to be like a backup assassin and says that you wouldn't be told because obviously the primary is never told when there's a backup assassin. And she kicks the shit out of Jacquard, but of course she's secretly kicking the device off of him so that Jacquard can defend himself. So this is her proving herself, establishes that she is going to be sticking around. And we have this scene where they wake him up and it's been like days. It's like, well, the window to kill him is gone, so you've broken your contract, and I also put some money into your account to make it look like that you were paid to not kill me. So the Assassin's Guild are going to come after you. So ta-ta, and they get all smug.
And you've been asleep for like 48 hours, so they should be here any minute.
That's right, yeah. Safe travels, off you go. Ta-ta. They're just so smug. And seeing Jacquard get a win and be this smug is really delightful. It really is. I enjoy it so much.
Yeah, I really like this episode, actually.
Yeah.
Because of his, I don't know, he's so fun to watch.
I mean, the romantic dialogue I thought was a bit overdone, and I'll critique that. And also that one weird editing thing where the date scene takes place in between like a 2-hour window that doesn't feel long enough for a date, but whatever. But I love the main plot. I think Jacquard is super entertaining. I love the subplot. Because I think a lot of the Londo stuff is super fun, but also because I really like the ending. I like what it does for the mythology and hearing these little tidbits and, all that super cool.
I think the comedy works really well in this episode because of his performance, and I think the scene with the praying mantis where he's demanding somebody big and then the big guy walks out and he's just like so giddy with delight, like, yes, he'll do. I don't know. I think he's so contagious. Like, he's really good.
He makes like a little noise. He's like, oh, yes, that will do. Yes. Yes, he's big.
Yeah, he's really fun to watch in this.
Which makes it really funny when the guy doesn't show up and it turns out he's been murdered easily.
Like the next scene, he just kills over.
Actually, to be honest, they made such a big deal of him walking out with the door coming up
with
and
the smoke and all the stuff.
I honestly thought the joke was going to be that he was going to step to the side and the real bodyguard was going to be like this little person behind him.
Yeah, that part was overdone, but it was good setup for the payoff in the next scene.
Honestly, even without that next scene, it was good enough just for the payoff of Jacquard going, oh, yeah.
Yes, right? Yeah, he was good in this. I really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah. No, it was a delightful episode. I don't know how important anything in this, outside of maybe the introduction of all the new characters, is going to be going forward, but that's enough.
Maybe Delenn and Sinclair are married. We'll see if that comes up again.
That's maybe in the eyes of the Minbari regime. He's now... he's been married into the family.
Maybe it's kind of like I have dual citizenship if I'm in Canada, but not in America because they don't recognize it here.
Oh, dear. I wonder if the Minbari, I mean, given that we were speculating on the sexual organs of the Centauri based on a deleted scene, do you think the Minbari also have a typical sexual organ that would be compatible, as it were, with a human?
I don't like this conversation. They look humanoid, but It wouldn't make sense if they did.
Well, you need an adapter, or is it kind of one of those things where you've got where you've got like a port on an electrical device, and it'll technically fit, but it's not like, you know, the right device for it.
This is my least favorite conversation we've ever had on this show.
Actually, I mean, somewhat still. Oh, sorry, Foxy. Somewhat still related to this conversation, but going to something else you mentioned. So back in the gathering, or the first episode, when he was chatting up Talia, and he was talking about trying to make a telepath baby. Which, by the way, we've not seen Talia in like 4 episodes. It's been a while. And he was talking about how it was so intense that he wasn't sure if like she would be able to handle it. Maybe that's why the Earth woman that he does bang. Maybe that's why they go up for it, because they've heard of the stories that the pleasure thresholds that the Narn can hit are so ridiculous. They have to know. They have to know.
It's intriguing.
That's why he walks about so smug. Because he knows he's that good. All right.
You can't fake that kind of confidence.
Which is why it has to be a Narn woman in the Toth who belittles him, because she's not fazed by it. She's a Narn woman. She's not impressed by his Narn sexual appetite. Anyway, I think that'll wrap us up on this episode. In fact, I believe some Star Trek alumni are in the next episode.
All right.
Chekhov himself.
Ooh.
So
then we will get some Talia.
We will, yeah, because there's telepaths involved. But yeah, she has been missing for a few episodes now. But anyway, so there you go. That is episode 5 of Babylon 5. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments. You can hit the like button. Liking is super important. And you can... One of Tara's pets is doing something cute apparently off to the side.
Yeah.
I could see it. So...
Poor kitty cat got barked at, so...
hit the like button. Helps us out. Free way to support us. But you can also support us financially, can't you, Tara?
That's right. If you enjoy our show, please check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MildFuzzTV. And if you donate as low as $1 per month, you will get access to bonus episodes of other shows we do. And if you donate $5 per month, you will get these reviews 1 week early. So watch along with us and be ahead of the game of everybody else. Thank you.
That was not bad, given that you were being distracted heavily by something off to the side.
Poor kitty's getting chin scritches. He's got a big chin.
Catch us on Twitter as well, at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. And of course, check out other shows we do, such as Star Trek. Me and Connor do Next Generation right now. We did all the original series. Me and Tara are also covering the Twilight Zone, the classic series. So make sure you check out those if you're interested in more classic sci-fi show reviews. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching Babylon 5 and just don't give away the home world.